Welcome to Vetted Shorts, the channel where we cut through centuries of myth, media, and mystery to bring you the real stories behind alien lore. Today, we're unwrapping one of the most iconic and misunderstood extraterrestrial archetypes in pop culture, the little green men. You know the trope, tiny beings with emerald skin, oversized heads, and glimmering black eyes, sometimes wielding ray guns, always up to some outlandish mischief. But is there any truth behind these persistent depictions? Or is Little Green Men just a story we keep telling ourselves? Stick around, because by the end of this episode, you might never look at the color green or alien reports the same way again. Let's set the stage. When you think alien, what image pops into your head first? For many, it's the archetypal gray, frail, child-sized, smooth-skinned, with almond-shaped eyes and often gray, not green. Yet somehow, when we joke about extraterrestrials, cartoons, comics, memes, it's the little green man who beams into the spotlight. In fact, the term little green men is so universally recognized that it's almost a synonym for alien. But here's the twist. When we look at the roots of the UFO phenomenon, green skin doesn't show up much at all. That's right. Despite the dominance of green-skinned invaders in toys and television, those who claim to have encountered visitors from the stars almost never describe them as green. The real origin of this idea, why we think of aliens as green, has more to do with folklore, media, and cultural echoes than close encounters. Before little green men became extraterrestrial, the phrase was often used to describe any kind of uncanny entity. Think goblins and fairies in old European tales. Mischievous, strange, and yes, often green. Humans seem to have an ingrained fascination with mysterious creatures in shades of green. Maybe because the color symbolizes something both familiar, like plants, and alien, slime, mold, the unknown. But how did this old-world notion get wrapped up in the flying saucer craze? Fast forward to the early and mid-20th century, as real-world headlines began filling with tales of unidentified objects in the sky. In the 1940s and 1950s, the U.S., and soon the world, was gripped by reports of flying saucers and alien abductions. Journalists seeking catchy headlines started to riff on the idea that spacemen might not look like us. Little green men became a punchline, a shorthand for any strange sighting. But here's the fact that often surprises people. Green skin is almost never mentioned in abduction reports or so-called contactee stories. One of the most famous UFO abduction cases in history, the 1961 Betty and Barney Hill encounter, described beings closer to today's grays, gray-skinned, not green. Even earlier, the Roswell crash of 1947 spawned countless tales about recovered bodies, but witness accounts, dubious as they were, didn't really specify green skin. The image of the little green man was already floating in the cultural ether before anyone claimed to meet him. So where did this specific image, small stature, big eyes, green hue, start to take hold? One influential moment came not from space, but from the wild storytelling of American media. A key case sometimes cited, though not involving actual aliens, is the 1955 Kelly-Hopkinsville encounter in rural Kentucky. In this incident, two families claimed their farmhouse was besieged by little men with glowing eyes and silvery skin. Notice, not green, but shiny or metallic. Yet soon after, news headlines and folklore twisted the story, and the phrase little green men stuck like glue. The leap from shiny or gray to green was gradual, arguably driven more by artists than eyewitnesses. Pulp sci-fi magazines and Saturday morning cartoons soon took over, cementing the look. Green was more visually striking and instantly said alien to television audiences and comic readers alike. Why green? To put it simply, it stood out. Heroes wore blue or red. Villains often were cast in shades of green or sickly yellow. There's even a psychological component. Green is neither wholly natural nor wholly unnatural. It's the color of grass and trees, but also poison and putrescence. In storytelling, green became a marker of otherness, something familiar but just off enough to creep us out. And so little green men quickly became a recurring cultural reference, a visual and verbal cliche for beings from beyond. These diminutive cosmic pranksters showed up everywhere, in novelty toys, movies, cereal box prizes, and, yes, headlines about the space race. Let's step back for a second and think about why this idea endured. The archetype of the little green man draws heavily on the primary gray model. Small stature, proportional human-like bodies, and exaggerated features. This core template is simple to tweak with color and costume, giving artists and writers free range to adapt the icon for any story. Yet here's something wild. If you dissect actual abduction testimonies across decades and countries, reports of green skin are shockingly rare. When green is mentioned, it's often as a result of environmental effects, like colored lights shining on pale skin, or brief perceptions under stress, not a true chromatic description of the being's flesh. There are outliers, of course. In a handful of highly publicized but largely discredited humanoid sightings, and in a smattering of European folklore, green beings do make a cameo. But these are exceptions, not the rule. They persist because we love a colorful story. Let's look at one of the earliest recorded green people legends, the Green Children of Woolpit. In 12th century England, villagers supposedly discovered two children with green skin, later explained by some as a dietary oddity, or possibly a retold allegory. While not extraterrestrial, the tale left its pigment on later UFO mythology. Fast forward again, the phrase "little green men" grew so catchy that it even made its way into military slang. During World War II, little green men could sometimes mean mysterious enemy soldiers or simply anything unidentified and strange. By the 1970s and 80s, the image was everywhere. TV commercials hawked cereal with green Martian mascots. Sci-fi cinema, think Mars Attacks or Invaders from Mars, unleashed a parade of tiny green extraterrestrials, often accompanied by flying saucers and over-the-top special effects. And then came the merchandise boom. Halloween costumes, lunchboxes, stickers, even glowing green plastic finger puppets pushed the image to the heart of alien pop culture. But here's another twist. As alien stories evolved, so did our archetypes. New depictions emerged: tall Nordics with blonde hair, mysterious reptilians, and of course the omnipresent grays. In a sense, little green men have become less about genuine encounter and more like a costume the culture puts on. When someone says, "I saw little green men," it's almost always tongue-in-cheek. Yet the image persists, even as serious ufology tries to distance itself from the cartoonish cliché. The little green man has become a symbol, not of terrifying visitation, but of our recurring fascination with the idea that something out there is watching. Maybe amused, maybe mischievous, maybe just a little bit green. Let's take a moment to reflect on the psychology here. Why green and why small? There's a cultural logic to it. Small characters are seen as less threatening, easier to laugh with or at. And by making them green, we add a buffer, the fantasy marker, that keeps scary aliens safely in the realm of jest. Even in modern memes and viral internet humor, little green men reign supreme. Type alien meme into any search bar, and what do you see? Not terrifying grays or shadowy reptilians, but wide-eyed, green-skinned, short-statured pranksters holding up peace signs or abducting cows. Let's not overlook their subversive power. Little green men often carry a gentle satire. With their big eyes and childlike stature, they poke fun at our tendency to treat the unknown as both laughable and scary. For every alien overlord, there's a green cartoon imp with a ray gun that jams. And here's the final twist. Scientists themselves have used the phrase "little green men" in serious contexts, although with a wink. In 1967, when astronomers Jocelyn Bell Burnell and Anthony Hewish discovered mysterious, repeating radio signals from space, what we'd later understand as pulsars, they jokingly labeled their discovery LGM1 for little green men. Even the experts can't resist the trope. What can we conclude from all this? The little green man is less an eyewitness description, more a cultural mirror, reflecting both our wildest hopes for cosmic neighbors and our deep-seated need for stories that comfort and entertain. It's a kind of cosmic joke we tell ourselves. And in a strange twist, if you look at the way alien imagery changes over time, societies in times of stress or upheaval lean harder on the little green man. Something harmless, even endearing, to balance the darkness of the unknown. So next time you see a green-skinned alien on a billboard, a t-shirt, or hovering over a victim in a comic strip, remember, this isn't just a pop culture gag. It's a time capsule, signaling how humans have processed the unknown for centuries, from goblins in the forest to Martians on Mars. Let's not forget, Even though little green men are rarely the subject of serious study, they're often the ambassadors that introduce new generations to the broader and deeper mysteries of UFO lore. They bridge the gap between skepticism and wonder, opening the door for anyone to ask, what if? If you're wondering, do any cultures report actually encountering green-skinned visitors? Rarely. Outside of the European fairy tradition, most accounts trend toward white, gray, or even metallic coloring. In essence, the green part is almost always an addition by writers or artists, not alleged contactees. So why does it endure? Because it's a powerful image and a flexible one. The little green man can be scary or silly, noble explorer or bumbling invader. He's the ultimate blank slate, inviting us to fill in the blanks with our own fears, hopes, and wildest imaginings. And there's a certain democratic beauty to it. Little green men belong to everyone. No secret governments, shadowy cabals, or cryptic symbols required. Just a flash of green and a playful grin, inviting us to laugh at the unknown instead of cowering in fear. So as serious researchers wade through confusing evidence and contested encounters, the little green man marches on, unstoppable, in jokes and jingles, in dreams and doodles. He is, in a way, the mascot of our relationship with the unknown. Let's wrap up with a nod to modern interpretations. Films like Toy Story have given us adorable, near-worshipful green aliens, while adult comedies riff on the theme, poking fun at how unthreatening or clueless they can be. At the same time, artists are reclaiming the archetype. You'll find murals, tattoos, and art installations from Tokyo to Mexico City, all using the image of the little green man to comment on migration, identity, and outsiders in a world that sometimes forgets our own planet is full of strangers. So the next time you spot a little green man, remember, you're witnessing a piece of living folklore. Not a literal report from outer space, but a badge of how humans imagine the unknown, and maybe even make friends with it. To sum up, the archetype of the little green man is a unique blend of folk legend, comic invention, and social commentary, less a real entity and more an emblem of our curiosity and humor. While actual UFO reports stick with grays, it's the green guys who stole our hearts, our memes, and our Saturday mornings. At Vetted Shorts, we believe even the wildest stories can teach us something about history, about science, about ourselves, which is why we dive deep into every legend, no matter how green around the gills. So what do you think? Are little green men just pop culture's answer to our fears of the unknown? Or is there something deeper at play here? Something about how humans turn cosmic uncertainty into a sense of play and possibility? Tell us in the comments below. Have you ever encountered the idea of little green men in your own life, through art, stories, or dreams? And what other alien archetypes would you like Vetted Shorts to investigate next? Tall whites? Reptilians? Maybe something even weirder? Hit like if you enjoyed this dive into the world's favorite green icon. Subscribe for more alien dossiers and cosmic curiosities. And remember, the truth may be out there, but sometimes the best questions begin with a joke. Until next time, stay curious.